You're listening to the Merry Band of Pirates, an unofficially official Expeditionary Force podcast.
Welcome to the Merry Band of Pirates, an unofficially official, it's true because Craig Allen said so, Expeditionary Force podcast. My name is Andy, and I am joined as always by my lovely and talented co-host, Joey, Mariane, and Steve. Tonight we will be talking about Chapter 14, Spacesuits, and Chapter 15, Raid. But first, we will talk about the news. Joey, he Googled it. He told me there is absolutely no news.
There's no news.
Okay.
Actually, about anything in the entire world. No news about anything.
Nope. CNN, MSNBC, all down. Fox
They all
News
just
got
shut. They all just shut down and called it a day.
Well, I went to Craig's website and I looked at his blog, and there hasn't been an update there for several weeks, so there's no news.
I did see he posted something. I think he was on vacation. That's about it. Okay. Mariane, we have a friend who we wanted to mention real quick, right?
Yeah, and of course I'm gonna butcher the name, as always you guys tell me.
That's why we have you do this segment.
This is good.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Corey Coster, I think I didn't butcher it,
You
hopefully.
did pretty good.
Yeah. Hey team, love the podcast. TTA, currently rereading the whole series. Just started book 15 this morning.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Corey. Thank you for
Yes.
giving us a shout out on the Facebook page. I did see the rest of the podcast, occasionally mentioning to anybody asking questions in the Facebook pages. Hey, did you hear about our podcast? Did you hear about the Skippy Has Your Money? We try to infiltrate that into everybody's lives as much as possible. Please feel free to spread the love. All right.
It would be really nice if some of our listeners, when they're in the Facebook groups and the Reddit communities, when somebody's talking about something we've talked about before, go ahead and share a link to that episode or that short so that you can help spread the love and let more people know that we exist. Because apparently people are still finding out about us.
No,
So-
that's good. However, we
Joey-
can spread the news.
Joey made me feel bad today because I said, hey, have you heard about the podcast? And here's the name of the podcast. And Joey, of course, went there and slapped the link.
I wasn't trying to make you feel bad. I'm sorry if I did.
And it's like, I literally never open Facebook throughout the day unless you guys message something. And I open Facebook just because I've been doing the World Cup stickers. So I've been looking at posts all the time. And one popped up about the rules. And I'm like, oh, I know that. So I quickly responded and got out. And then later on, I see Joey like, oh, here it is. Let me show you better. I'm like, damn it, Joey.
It was a 1-2 punch. You did the setup, and I came along and dunked it. That's all.
This is where Joey in the editing will put in that lady from Monsters Inc. where she's always watching.
Everyone's watching.
Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski. What was her name? I'll have
Roz.
to think of that later. Yes, thank you. All right. We've gotten those things out of the way. Now we can move on to the chapters. As always, I will turn to Joey to give us a rundown as to what happened in the chapters, and then we'll dive into our discussion.
Yes.
Joey, take it away.
Chapter 14, Chapter 15. Does anybody remember how Chapter 13 ended? It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked about this.
That was ages ago. This
Seems
came
like-
out 10 years ago. I don't remember.
So if you remember the last conversation we had, which that episode hasn't even aired yet, so I'm working on that this week. It'll go out this weekend. Episode 13, chapters 12 and 13 were the Merry Band of Pirates and the Flying Dutchman. And chapter 13, the Flying Dutchman, ended with Joe talking to Skippy about the various flavors of sludge. And that's sort of where, so we've kind of come to the culmination of this chapter 10 through chapter 13, event. And then finally they get a little bit of a break now that they've acquired the Flying Dutchman. So now Suits chapter 14 picks up where, okay, now that we've done this, what's next, right? What are next steps in our corporate plan for global domination, for galactic domination? And that is Skippy needs to contact the collective, and we need to shut down the wormhole near Earth. That's what the Merry Band of Pirates are talking to Skippy about. So
Two steps, easy.
Piece of cake, and if you've read all the books, you know that this is really the culmination right now of what every single book is going to become for the rest of the next 19 is Joe and Skippy talking for an entire chapter about what they're going to do. And Spacesuits, the title of the chapter comes from the fact that Skippy being a little bit absent-minded, kind of takes for granted the fact that human beings can't survive in a vacuum without a spacesuit. And so it becomes this shorthand for any time in the future when Skippy just inadvertently forgets that human beings are, fallible meat sacks, and that we need spacesuits and to survive in space. So anyway, they start talking about the plan. We need to go and do this thing. It's kind of the side quest, mission montage of things that we're going to see progress throughout the rest of this entire series. And that is, we have to do this thing. We don't have any option not to. And if we fail, it's the end of humanity, basically. From here on out, that's going to repeat throughout the whole thing. So they have to go find a Thuranin relay station where they got to get some intel. From there, they're going to find where to get this communications device that Skippy needs and this wormhole controller device that humanity needs. And that is, in a nutshell, that's chapter 14, right? And they have to come up with a plan. They have to come up with they have to, exercise and go through the not just plan it in their heads. They actually have to kind of like figure out how to use the tools and the spacesuits essentially that they're going to use. And what's really funny is that you learn about Skippy is that he knows all this stuff, but he doesn't really know what to share or when to share it. So they find out there are these things called combots on board the spaceship, the Flying Dutchman, because Thuranin don't actually go into combat themselves. They're squishy little biological life forms as well, although they don't like to admit it. And so they use robots essentially to go and fight their wars for them, fight their battles for them. And so they figure out a way with a combination of the Kristang suits for, fighting, as well as the combots that the Thuranin have that the humans can go and they put together their mission plan essentially, which becomes the next chapter, chapter 15, which is Raid, which is essentially the entire chapter is the raid that they have on this, it's a Kristang moon that they know has the two devices that they need. And because it's the Kristang, it's sort of like even tiered in terms of like, the Kristang have greater technology, but they have Skippy and the Thuranin ship. So they've got some advantages here. So they put together a bit of a plan, and then they execute in this chapter. Several people die. Several people are injured. Rene Giraud loses an arm, I believe. Lieutenant Colonel Chang ends up breaking ribs. It's kind of a big mess. But eventually they are successful, and that is the end of the chapter.
Very nice. Yeah, I wanted to say a couple things. One, it was, and we're going to get into this later, the remembrance of the combots is one of those wonderful Skippy absent-minded, not thinking about thing moments. And I also love the fact that you used the word montage, because I was literally imagining in my head that like this chapter around this time would be a montage if it was in a show, right? It's just like, oh, here they are working together on the ship and solving problems. And this is how we establish time has gone by.
Training to bluegrass. Yeah, that would be a montage.
Put it in a montage. All right. Well, thank you for the in-depth synopsis of that. So we're getting kind of more exposure to the Merry Band of Pirates, more people, a little bit more about them. Steve, did you want to kind of go over who we learned more about or met this time?
Well, we started hearing the names of all of these characters as we've gone, but I think what was interesting in these couple chapters is we start to see some roles come forward. Mm-hmm. Some by choice, some by assignment from Joe. But we start seeing a little bit of division of responsibility, maybe at the most broad level, that Giraud is taking lead for developing the tactical plan for the assault on the moon base. But we started in the Flying Dutchman with everybody crammed into the bridge area and having to get kicked out of there, and Skippy saying, "I'm only going to talk to Joe and to the pilot," and that led to the formation of the CIC, and we start to see from that kind of crowded everybody all together, we start to see the division where Sims is going to have some particular places where she's going to speak in. The Psi is going to have theirs. Then you see Adams put together the training regimen with the combats. So what I was thinking about in there is just the division of responsibilities that starts to come forward in these characters. We've now heard their names, we've met these characters, but now we're trying to get a sense of who they are and what their value to the team is going to be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I think this is something that I always enjoy about Craig's writing is just I kind of want to say subtle introduction to people that he does. It's not just like, here's this person, here's their life, this is what they do. It's a sprinkle here, it's a sprinkle there, it's a little bit this interaction there. I really appreciate that about it because it's not taking you away from what's happening in the story, and it's well laced throughout, I guess I would say. And I really enjoyed that about his writing. So Steve, I want to give you the credit here because you came up with a couple of good suggestions for us to talk about. I wanted to get into magical Skippy time. This is one that you brought up, and we explored this a little bit here. He's mentioned it, I think, once already in the chapters, but we get into it more here, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think that this is maybe not the first mention that everything happens super fast for him. Mm-hmm. That he talks about a lot of things could have taken place. Entire species could come and go in the time that Joe's blah blah blah. And we get that over and over in the series. But I think up to now we've had maybe a little reference that his processors are so fast. But this is the first that I can remember of the true idea of the magical Skippy time, where he's processing things exponentially faster and at points then tuning out all the boring parts anyway, and wasn't really listening because it had been so long since Joe started talking. Yeah, so I just thought that kind of came forward in these couple chapters.
I think it was the episode before that we talked about Joe going through a whole rant on, you need to tell us when these things are not going to work. Oh no, I finished doing what I did like a couple milliseconds after we talked, and I just zoomed you out and let you speak. Can you repeat how you talked? Because I
leave out the boring parts.
Yes. I think it was just last chapter the last episode we talked about this. So it's like coming up again and again, and we'll hear Skippy complaining about how slow humans are so many times.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of actual magical Skippy time where time is just taking forever him, but then there's those instances where he's just being a dick and not paying attention. So it's a combination of the two. But no, we're going to see that a lot more and more, the magical Skippy time. And then we understand the severity of when he has to go like offline for processing or thinking about things. And we're like, oh, dang, it's serious if Skippy has to go offline as opposed to being able to come up with it in 2 seconds.
And even like there's a few, I think we'll talk more about it, but there's a few chapters where Joe's like, oh, it's been so much time. Oh, it's been so much time. And I thought Skippy already would be to me, and he's just waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys know what the opposite of magical Skippy time is?
No.
Meat sack caveman time.
Ah, yeah.
Because the actual line in the chapter is, and Joe's talking about, I thought you said it would take a long time. He says, I meant longer in magical Skippy time, not longer in meat sack caveman time, you dumb monkey boy.
Oh, he should stick with that insult.
Man, Bray is so good.
Yeah. You also wanted to talk about Skippy waking up Joe in the middle of the night and his loneliness.
Yeah, I just have been thinking through some of the things as I was going through this chapter again that really stood out to me. And this becomes, I think it's the first time that Skippy wakes up Joe in the middle of the night, of which will happen many, many, many more times over the course of the books. But so it's the introduction to a new motif that we're going to see repeated. But then in particular, like where Joe's like pushing, why couldn't this just wait till morning?
Yeah.
I'm lonely. And you start to see the effect of a million years laying around on paradise, that it's all started to really take a toll on him. He finally has some people that he can interact with, and he like needs the stimulation. He's like the little ADHD kid that needs that needs to make the next thing needs to keep happening now, and everybody being asleep. It's really hard on him because he's so alone in the world, and so there's like this little boy insecurity in Skippy. We've talked about that with Joe, but even within Skippy, like the insecurity and the loneliness for him.
He even says so much in this chapter. Other authors wouldn't take as much time to explain things as Craig does. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of time. When Joe says, why don't you talk to other people? Skippy says, well, I don't think they like talking to me. I think I intimidate them, or something to that effect. I can look it up, but
that was what I was going to say. Like, we need to remember that we know Skippy for 19 books, and we take it for granted that he talks to everybody at the same time without having any addition to his process. But like right in the beginning, people were intimidated by Skippy, so they were not talking to him. We know Skippy as his avatar, basically, and right in the beginning of the book, that was not placed in motion yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have the avatar yet.
So like there's so much that we take for granted, like in the coming books, that we forget how much Skippy had to learn and adapt himself to be able to communicate with the humans without being just ignored, kind of, I guess. Like, I understand, like, throughout the book, during the day when everybody's awake, he's speaking with everybody at the same time, but at nighttime, he has, like, 2-3 people that are awake, and most of the time, he's not even talking to them because it might be people that doesn't feel comfortable yet.
Well, I like the fact that, later on, like you said, he's talking to everybody on the ship, and we're talking about even bigger ships. He's talking to every single person at the same time. And in moments, he's still bored, right? Even though he's talking to all these people. But then in other moments, he's also, whenever Joe needs him, going, what? Like, what do you need? And then my, of course, favorite, and spoiler alert, but when you have drunk Skippy.
I love drunk Skippy.
Hey, Joe.
I like
so
how the way
good.
I like the way that Joe gets rid of Skippy in this particular, because it's kind of different in all the books. But he's like, "Can't you just do a crossword puzzle?" Because he's talking about being bored and lonely. He's like, "Just do a crossword puzzle."
Just do a crossword puzzle.
Like, I guess so.
Yeah, right. Which, I mean, I guess that kind of goes into Skippy mind wandering, right? Because his mind does wander. He's absent-minded. We've already established that quite a bit already. Steve, did you have anything particular you wanted to say about that one?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we're starting to see the character of Skippy. This is our first time meeting him in action. And so we get to see how this is playing out for him, whether it be the spacesuit. Skippy, we can't breathe, hard vacuum. To him, like, wondering why. See, this is what I don't understand about you, meat sacks. Why are you just not using all those other weapons that are available? And they're like, what weapons?
Well,
like,
the combats.
There's a whole in the armory. I'm sure I've told you about that.
There's an armory.
There's an armory. Like the Skippy's just mind continuing to wander, but even then, how that's going to show up in. Potentially put them in jeopardy and in danger at times, jumping in and around all of the other Thuranin ships where they're trying to collect the data, and he's jumping in and out, or proposing to jump in and out, and they have to stop and say, so Can a Giraffe ship do that? No. Then they're going to figure out pretty fast that it wasn't a Giraffe ship if the performance does not match what a Giraffe ship is capable of doing. So you just got this
my life so much right now.
But for all the brilliance, the total missing the thing that is mind-slappingly obvious right in front of him.
Yeah, this kind of speaks to that Deus Ex Machina that you talked about before, Steve, and that's that you could have made Skippy all powerful, but he really has a lot of fallibility, and it makes him kind of personable, makes you like him a little bit more because he isn't perfect, even though he has these delusions of grandeur at times, and he does pull off pretty amazing feats that there's no way humanity would have survived without him. He does have these kind of absent-minded moments that are kind of great, and they really do. His fallibility really does fill out the character more and makes those scenes where they make mistakes and barely get out alive a lot more enjoyable.
Suspenseful too.
Yeah.
And we have Skippy being all this all knowing and a smart AI, and in this chapter Joe kind of grabs him and say, like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, spacesuits, we need spacesuits.
Yeah.
Skippy turns around and says, like, I'm not perfect. It's like, oh, that's a first.
If I recall, I think Craig kind of talked about that a little bit. How, having an AI that can do all this stuff could almost be like a cheat code, right? It could take away from the book because it's just like, yep, Skippy goes in there, fixes it, and then it's okay. Yeah, but that's not good book writing. So he has to create, absent-mindedness or mistakes or stupidity or naiveness, whichever it is. So it gives him the juxtaposition between this really amazing thing. He can bend space-time, whatever it is, and then he forgets that humans need oxygen and will die in the vacuum of space at the same time.
There's a moment in the story where Skippy refers to humans as dogs. Saying, they're talking about repairing or running the ship, and Skippy's like, that's cute. You're like a dog. You might know, you might know that there's a pantry and that it's got yummy treats in it, but you can stare at the doorknob all day long and you're not going to understand how it works. And so Joe, of course, locks it on that. And he's like, wait, I thought we were, single-celled organisms, bacteria. Yeah. And the Skippy uses a word called, paramecium. And one of the other, a Randall, I think he's a private Randall, says something like, he spells it out, paramecium, like what? So Joe has to then, show his smarts and explain what a paramecium is. A one-celled organism that you've probably seen under a microscope in high school biology, and it looks like a paisley. And then that takes us to a whole nother thing.
Yeah, the other guy says, oh, I always thought those looked like paisleys, those things on ties, right?
Yeah, those funky swirly patterns on old people's couches and curtains. Yeah. So, and then Skippy, of course, immediately jumps on that and says, that would be a great symbol for the Merry Band of Pirates.
And slap a pirate eye patch on the paisley.
I had that patch. I got to find it somewhere.
That's where we get this.
I had the green. I had the green one, commando one. I got to find it.
I have the patch on my travel bag.
Nice.
It's there.
Yeah, if you go to Craig's website, if you go to CraigAllinson.com, it's the symbol at the top center that he uses to symbolize his own brand. So,
so that's a great, and that stays with them. That's their unit symbol going forward.
Well, at some point they get proud of it and want to have it patches made, put on their uniforms. And so, and then Joe's like, you know what? We can't ask for permission at this point. We might as well ask for forgiveness when we get home.
Yeah. And I think Joe kind of allowed the crew to do it as a FU to Skippy, because Skippy started as messing with the team, and the team took it upon themselves to say, yeah, we like this, we'll take it, and basically let's mess with Skippy too then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we've talked about something similar in the past where, something was used as a derogatory term. We've talked about jarheads in a pop culture segment in the past, and that's a term that the Navy came up to say that the heads of the Marines because of their short, they was shaved so short on the sides and had a little bit of hair on top, made it look like a jar head, and there was nothing in there. Of course, the Marines were like, "That's brilliant, we'll show them." And so there you go. There's a jar.
Stop blurring.
Yeah, just turn it over, Andy, so we can see what it looks like. No, don't do that.
It's got water in it, though.
I actually went on a tour of Texas state parks. Fort. You guys are familiar with Fort Worth, Texas. Well, apparently there's a bunch of forts that extend from the East Coast to the West Coast, because when the wagon trains were moving out west, they were being attacked by Indians, and the United States built a bunch of forts every 150 miles or so. And so there's forts all across Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California. And I went to Fort Davis to go hiking, and we got a tour from a Buffalo Soldier. They actually took black soldiers from the Civil War, after the Civil War, and sent them out as freed men to patrol and protect the West. And they were stationed at these places. And we had an amazing black tour guide who dressed as a traditional Buffalo Soldier. And he told us on that tour that the term was a derogatory term. But when the soldiers found out that what it was really was the Indian word for a buffalo soldier is actually a term of great respect, because a buffalo is a highly revered and respected animal.
Yeah.
They took that on. It was originally something that the whites referred to, the white villagers and townspeople referred to them as a derogatory slang. They took that on with a lot of pride, because the Indians held the buffalo in such high regard, and it became a term that they referred to each other as, that meant lots of great respect. And so, and of course, there's all kinds of terms like, nerd and geek. That used to be something when we were kids that kids would use to make you feel bad. Now, thanks to shows like Big Bang Theory and books like the Expeditionary Force, we could be nerds and geeks and hold our heads high.
It's cooler to be a nerd or a geek these days.
Yeah.
Didn't get you many girls back in the day, but
but along that lines, Andy, did any of you ever see, years ago, there was one of those reality matchmaking shows, Beauty and the Geek?
Yep.
Yes, I remember
that. Incredible. They take 8 of the nerdiest guys on the planet and these 8 gorgeous women and put them in the same house. And I just remember, like, the one guy, his occupation was he trained monkeys with lasers. And they were doing like, yeah, exactly. But they were doing this episode where the beauties were coaching the geeks on dating protocols, and they were setting them up for to go on each of the geeks to go on a date with somebody else, but they'd have an earpiece in with the beauty kind of helping them kind of coach them through the moment. And the beauty that was working with this one guy's like, just don't talk about monkeys and lasers. Just you can say you're a scientist, that you're like, there's but and he made it all of like 30 seconds into the date before he's like, I train monkeys with lasers.
Well, I was going to ask, because you said his occupation was he trains monkeys with lasers. I was like, how do you put that in the box when you're filling out a form? And then the scientist profile makes more sense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whichever it is.
I was watching something earlier today. There was a guy who works for the CIA, trains spies. And for a time, he would go and train soldiers that were working on top secret things like submarines, that if they had to go overseas, he would say, here's what you need to know. There's a room full of soldiers. He goes, if you're a 4 and she's a 10, she's a spy.
It's like, it's not happening. She's a spy.
If she's into you and she's a 10, she's a spy.
Wow.
That's really funny.
That's hilarious. The same should be going for anybody who's like domestic and she's a 10 and she's Russian. She's a spy.
She just is.
And you're in politics or in defense or something. She's a spy.
Or you're an AI developer, software developer.
Exactly. Oh, could you just give me the link to that? Yeah. All right. Joey, is there anything else in your notes here that you wanted to go over real quick?
Just there was a moment where Joe and Skippy are talking, and Joe gets mad at him and says he's going to take a dump on his can and shove him in an airlock. And Skippy's like, that would work great, except for the fact that I control all the airlocks. And Joe says, airlocks have manual overrides.
Ooh, look, monkey has opposable thumbs. Oh, I love it.
And then later, I think in the next chapter,
Giro
has it. Gets mad at Skippy and says, if you ever want to stick, I can't do the French accent, but he says, if you ever want to stick this beer can in an airlock or something, please allow me to do it for you or something. Yeah.
I don't know why, and maybe it's one of those days where you just look at words and they don't look right, but I didn't think Giro was spelled that way.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so used to listening to the audiobooks. And the same thing's been happening to me if I ever see anything written about Dungeon Crawler Carl, because I see names and then I see them written out. I'm like, what the heck? Why is it spelled that way? But it's so funny that it just throws me off like that.
I just have one more thing I want to talk about, and that is in chapter 15, there's the introduction of the model employee, the employee of the year. And,
so good.
This is, again, another motif we see throughout the books where everything's going according to plan. And as we know, no plan survives contact with the enemy.
Yep.
And there's always some model employee on the other side who's trying to do something. And usually they get eviscerated or chopped in half or blown into a million pieces. Yeah. But it's because they don't get their trophy at the end of the day. That's the the moral of the story. But I love that this is the first instance where that's brought up. Craig's wit is just, it's brilliant sometimes. And this is one of those examples.
I do really appreciate the way he can again, thinking about like if he were to turn this into a show, I'm literally just seeing like the camera zoom in and like there's this guy like doing his job, and you just see that it's almost like a cut scene. And then they get the narration in the background. It's so good.
I see it like if it was a TV show, like an 8-part show.
Yeah.
And the last episode ended and the next episode is the raid. It's the cold open, like the scene from The Office, like where they have a cold open. The cold open is the Kristang at his desk. and he looks out a window and he's like, that's not right.
Wait a second. That's good. Yeah. They could do that with lots of different things in this series. Like just thinking about the all the missiles and their meetings about like who's in charge and stuff.
Yeah, the union meetings.
Yeah, we're a long way away from those.
I know, but I'm just like imagining
there'll be hysterical discussions because.
Oh, I know.
I'm pretty sure he's the first person who has ever personified ballistic missiles.
Maybe.
And nuclear warheads.
Yeah.
Nuki.
This is why I think people want to see this as an animated, because things like that probably play better animated, but it's still whatever. Someday, if it ever gets made, it's going to be wonderful to see.
Okay, so should we do pop culture? Will Mariane understand it?
I think we should.
Mariane understand it.
All right. Well, we already heard it. Mariane try to pronounce names. So now let's see if she understands. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to go down the rabbit hole of 17th century Hungarian poetry. The very name of 17th century Hungarian poetry should strike fear in the hearts of every modern day 20th century man and woman. You don't need to read any of it. You don't need to worry about any of it. There isn't any of it that you know or don't know.
Huge fan.
But it is, a huge fan. I think Skippy actually brings back the 17th century Hungarian poetry again.
I think he talks about it a couple times. Yeah.
He talks all the time, and the way that whole sentence, he repeats that same thing. I think 3 times, one after the other, just all like syllables in between or prepositions. But like he says, 17th century Hungarian poetry like 3 times in a row, and I'm like, just every time I listen to that, I'm like, ow. My tongue.
Really, any kind of romantic Renaissance era poetry. I mean,
well, I was just going to ask.
I do believe it was a Baroque era, Steve, but
Baroque.
But my problem is not even with that. My problem is just saying 17th century Hungary.
Sure.
Saying all of that.
Say it again. Come on, do it.
It's gonna be the title.
3 times fast. 3 times fast.
Hey, if RC Bray could do it, you could do it too, Marianne.
Uh-huh.
All right,
Damn,
Marianne,
the
do you know what
Brazilians
Super
say a
Mario
word.
is?
Yes, I do know what Super Mario is.
Oh, okay. You
It's
sure?
a me.
It's a me, Mario.
Yes,
Whoa!
my son loves it. I played a lot of Mario Kart on Nintendo 64. I played the Super Mario World, Super Mario whatever, all the
Okay.
like even on
That's
Nintendo.
that's pretty prolific around the world, I
Yeah.
have to say.
Blowing cards, blowing
Not just an American thing.
I mean, there's only 80 different types of Mario. He's been on
Oh, yeah.
every Nintendo gaming system. There's how many movies? I mean,
Uh-huh.
and even there's movies before there were movies of Mario back in like
Well,
the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were all awful.
They were unwatchable.
Well,
my son's second birthday, I did all the decorations by hand for the birthday. Yes.
All right.
I'm very proud of that birthday.
I mean, Saturday Night Live has done bits on Mario and Mario Kart, so you know it's been definitely pop cultured to death. Andy, you look like you're
Mhm.
going to add something there to the Mario line.
no, I was just thinking, I couldn't remember the name of the original voice actor who did Mario, but it's Charles Martinet.
All right,
Putting it out there.
excellent. All right, so another
We've
Star
talked
Trek
about this one
reference.
before. Yeah.
There's a great moment with Joe and
Adams.
Sergeant Adams. Yeah, and
It's literally the end of the chapter where he's like, I'm gonna say I didn't watch her shapely behind.
well,
Also, I'm sorry, but the whole joke I know is because of the shirt.
yeah, but everybody on that ship is probably looking at her shapely behind. But the Star Trek references to the fact that she's wearing a red shirt and they're about to go on an away mission.
Do you know what that means, Marianne?
Not yet. I'm on the start still. I just watched like 2 episodes.
Oh,
What?
Oh,
Where-
that's
where are
right.
you
I
at?
forgot. We gave you assignments.
All right, let me wrap up this pop culture stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
you'll get the red shirt thing if you watch a couple more of those original series. The guy in the red shirt on the away mission that is not part of the cast
Main
of the
cast.
movies that he dies usually.
Every time.
Yeah, it becomes sort of a joke. It's an inside joke amongst Trekkies that you don't want to be caught.
And it's
Wearing a red shirt.
popped up in any sci-fi that has any humor in it, in every single possibility. Like to the point where somebody's wearing a red shirt and they're like, "Why did today have to be laundry day?" Shit. And because they're instinctively gonna die.
Galaxy Quest is a great example.
Mhm.
It's a movie that literally is made to parody all
All
of
of
the
them.
inside jokes in Star Trek, and Sam Rockwell's character at the beginning is like wearing a red. He's like, "What? I'm
Yeah.
like my guy. My name is literally Guy, and I'm wearing a red shirt. I'm the red shirt guy." And so it's
I love
hilarious.
it.
But anyway,
Oh.
so that's the reference there with the red shirt, and she talks about putting on
Mhm.
Marine Corps uni, whatever. Yeah. So all right, Iron Man. There's a reference to the Kristang suits.
You know, Iron Man?
And how they look like Iron Man when they're wearing it. There's actually 2 references to Iron Man, I think, because one point he says that Chang looked like Iron Man because he'd busted 2 ribs, but he still went into action in chapter 15. There's a reference to Halo, and if you've ever played Halo or know anything about Halo, Marianne, you'll know that the characters have these really cool looking like suits that they can wear in any environment.
Yeah, I heard about Halo. I never played.
The Coolio reference. Do you know about Coolio, Marianne? Is that that's before your time. That's we call that classic rap now.
Ooh, that's a thing.
That's there's classic rock, so there has to be classic rap.
Oh,
But
that's wrong.
I think what I'll do is I'll insert a little Coolio here so that you can, and if you just bob your head, you'll look like you know it. Like
Been spending most our lives in gangsters.
See,
paradise.
so here's the thing, and this kind of plays to the nerd part, though. I can't hear that song and not hear
Here,
Amish Paradise.
yeah,
Thank
Weird
you, Weird
Al.
Al. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you start fighting just now. Just start.
I'm-
going
Do you know
I'm
Weird Al?
the
Weird Al?
Weird Al
Weird Al
Yankovic.
Yankovic?
I know who you're talking about. I never watched.
Ah!
How many times have you seen him in concert?
So Coolio has a song called Gangster Paradise that's actually mentioned in the
You're
chapter.
explaining parody. I love this.
And then Weird Al Yankovic is a musical artist who parodies every major artist. It's pretty much from Michael Jackson to Pharrell, to everybody. And even Coolio, he does a song called Amish Paradise,
which is
because the opposite of a gangster.
Gangsta's Paradise. He tries to do something that's like completely different, right?
Yeah.
So like Michael Jackson's Beat It became Eat It. And then he danced around in a
Fat
really
suit.
big fat suit. But he looked like he was wearing all the same clothes as Michael Jackson did in the actual video. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm fat. You never.
Oh,
I've seen
wait.
it. I've seen him live 6 times,
Holy
and I will
shit.
tell you, I do not regret it even a little bit.
I want to go see him live. I haven't seen him yet. I really need to.
It's unbelievable. He puts on a show that is unlike anyone else.
All right. So Weird Al. I love that we can even throw in other pop culture things. And Marianne, we'll send you a list. Steve and Andy and I will indoctrinate you into the world of Weird Al.
Oh my gosh.
The last
I'm sorry. I'm just playing Eat It, and the guy trying to get out of the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he comes out in concert.
Yeah.
Like when you see him, he changes costumes for every song.
Wow.
And not just him.
Oh, I know.
The whole band does. So when there's going to Michael Jackson, he comes out in his fat suit, but then he goes back in and comes out in the Flintstones outfit. Then goes back in and comes out as for Amish Paradise in Amish garb, and then comes out usually in the encore as in his Jedi robes for the saga begins.
Yeah.
And like there's so much happening in every one of those concerts. It's really wild.
All right. Last little bit here is on eBay. You know what eBay is, right? Okay. So we don't have to beat that. That's kind of a newish, everybody kind of knows what eBay is, but Skippy talks about how elder artifacts aren't something you can easily find on eBay. It's not really a pop culture reference, but it is. People use eBay as sort of the
Second market.
Yeah.
Bought it on eBay. We can go straight Weird Al with that one. So
Like it's that about when I moved here. This is like 16. It's gonna be 16 years that I've been in the US now. And when I moved here, eBay was it. And nowadays, it's like you get scared when you go buy something on eBay because you're not really sure anymore.
Yeah.
So it changed a lot from when 16 years ago when you're like, oh yeah, for sure, eBay. I'll find it on it and I know it's going to work.
eBay's become kind of the place where you get things you can't just go on Amazon and buy. Like you have to get it secondhand, and eBay sort of
It's no longer made anymore or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to what you just said, I remember when Etsy was like a cool, like handmade marketplace, and now it's just mass produced crap. So the same thing has happened with that website.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I got for pop culture stuff.
That's all your pop culture stuff? Do you want to do it in the galley with Colonel Joe talking about sludges some more?
No, I don't think we need a whole segment. I do think that the comment of trying the apple cinnamon sludge mixed with the chocolate sludge, and he says it was okay. It was enough that I could made me want to swallow it and drink it down as fast as possible, so I didn't have to taste it.
That works.
You put it in the fail column.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
The 2 chapters are really good. I like every chapter is really good, but there's the spacesuits and Joey telling him like every time you do something like this, I'll remind you just by saying spacesuits. That's
Spacesuit.
Yeah, and he does it. And I think a few chapters later, he just turns around and says spacesuits.
And he goes, shut up.
Yeah, I think it's like 1 or 2 times it happens in the next 19 books, but it's like that moment is like showing how Skippy can F up too, not just be the perfect self.
Yeah. I'd say I think I like when he's comparing them to the Paramecium. I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the line, he's no match for my incredible powers, of course. It was, though, a minor challenge for me sort of like doing a crossword puzzle. Not a tough crossword puzzle, mind you. So like just the whole rant and even
I know it's.
but no, I mean like a crossword puzzle, but not a tough one. Don't overstate this.
At one point, Skippy and Joe are talking, and Joe's saying, if you make a mistake and we all die, you go flying off into space until you can communicate with a passing by ship and radio them to come pick you up. But if we, if everything goes wrong, it's all of humanity. It's my family. It's my friends. It's everything I've ever known is completely wiped out. And he's saying, you understand that, right? And instead of Skippy going, oh, you're right, Joe, the stakes are really high for you. His response is that a tear? Of course, he's in the bathroom and he just put water on his face. I splashed some water on my face.
Oh, there's a whole thing about Thuranin not having mirrors and Joe using the Z phone. And of course, I think it's Skippy enjoying that very much.
That's a good one.
Every time Joe wakes up and cracks his head, he's like, I'm not going to sleep in the bed anymore. I'm going to start sleeping on the floor.
Steve, you said you did your doctoral thesis on what was it, the morality of
moral disengagement.
Moral disengagement. And there's an interesting point that comes at the end of chapter 15 where Joe asked Skippy if I guess he knew about some nukes that they had, and they have a discussion about atomic, capacity in terms of like their volume. And he says, well, I want you to go ahead and set those nukes off at the asteroid base that we just raided. And everybody's kind of like, but wait, like, do we really need to do that? And he's like, well, yeah, there's tons of human DNA over there. Now, there's two things I want to talk about here. And one is the implications of the moral discussion around just blowing up the asteroid base when they didn't really need to, knowing that there's isn't there a base on the other side of the asteroid that was never even involved in the engagement? Those people are all going to die. Those Kristang are all going to die, right? Like, so that we're just going to kill them because we have to eradicate all the human DNA. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. I'll have to think about it because I just had it on my mind, but I lost it. But what do you think about all that, Steve?
I think what's interesting in that chapter, and when it gets to that discussion, is Joe is willing to acknowledge, I did it because I was ticked off. That we didn't need to do that, but I was angry at the situation. I was angry about the people we lost. So I think even in that moment, there's a recognition for Joe that he is acting impulsively. He's acting on emotion, that this is outside and likely outside of what would qualify under just war theory. If you're running a military operation and there's casualties in it, that's one thing. When you are just angry and detonate an explosive and there's all kinds of casualties that result in that, the moral stakes are just different. And I think that this is one of the times where Joe acts totally out of the emotion and anger, and everything that has been going on kind of boils up in it, where he has a weight, something he can do in this moment. Most of the time, when we feel that level of powerlessness and anxiety and anger, and there's not much we can do about it. But he sees a moment where he has not only the means to do it, but he's got this motivation of in his anger. But is not really his finest moment for a guy who's going to fight over and over again to protect civilian lives. That's how he got in trouble with the Kristang in the first place, all the way back on Paradise, because of the unwillingness to sacrifice Ruhar civilians. And so there's a little bit of, like I think for any of us, emotionally, we can hit a place where we just kind of tip and we act outside of our normal moral standards. I think that's some of what is happening here for Joe.
All right, the second thing I want to bring up, and it's used heavily in book 19, and that's this ability to jump away from an engagement and view it from a distance because of the time delay. There's 2 points in these 2 chapters. One, when they're going to the Thuranin to get intel in chapter 14, they're disguising themselves as a Giraffes ship by their engine, how their engines and their jump drives are working. And
exhaust smell.
What's that?
The exhaust smell.
Yes, and they find out that there's Maxolts there.
Mm-hmm.
The exhaust smell.
Yeah.
So,
but wafted it.
You would think that this probably does happen, because I know that at some point they know there's a ghost ship out there, right? The Maxolts would just jump away and look at that moment in time from a different distance, being able to look back in time to see when the Flying Dutchman was jumping in and jumping out, to know that it was a Thuranin star carrier that was doing all of that, which I think is interesting. And then you go back to the engagement in chapter raid of chapter 15, where they go to the Kristang asteroid. Same thing. All they have to do is jump far enough away from the asteroid and actually look. They could see the entire event play out. And I'm sure that Craig was thinking along these lines, but not thinking it was important enough at this point. Of course, now you get into the book 19, where and Ground State, they use that tactic quite heavily to go look and see what happened, so they could start to piece together how to chase down the outsider, which I think is kind of interesting.
I am picturing Joey at a convention and asking, in front of the microphone, asking Craig, well, excuse me, in chapter 15, you bring up the fact that they don't know that it was the Thuranin ship when they actually could have just, it's like, oh my God.
Which is almost the exact scene out of Galaxy Quest.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yes.
That becomes the seminal moment in Galaxy Quest with the where that young teenager asked a question that was so ridiculous.
Justin
didn't
Long,
you know?
right?
Yeah.
It was Justin Long's character.
Yeah, he's the one asking the questions. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's a whole Saturday Night Live bit with William Shatner where a bunch of Saturday Night Live casts are asking questions about Star Trek, and he's like, "Stop it! Just get a life. I'm watching TV. Go outside."
It's a long-going sci-fi trope about fans consistently poking holes in any of the writing, when all the writers and actors on these shows are just like, we just tried to make a show, guys. Yeah. Like, come on.
But I do think that this is a little bit different because, here to your point, Joey, because the Maxolts are not interested in the Dutchman for a long time yet.
Yeah.
And so the Maxolts are not chasing the Flying Dutchman. Later on, when you get to the ghost ship, they're trying to chase Valkyrie, much more powerful ship that had a lot more ability to control the output that would be trackable.
Sure.
And so there would be a little bit less of it. So it's actually one of those cases where I'm not sure it totally falls apart the way that some things do if you dig too far into them, because there's plenty of those we could pick on here.
Sure.
No, that's a fair assessment, because you would think, later on they're like, hey, somebody's in the universe doing some shit stirring. I wonder who that is, right? But at this point in time, they're hearing after the fact, one of our asteroids destroyed? What? Right? And they're not like, they don't have ships right there, there to go and look at the go however many light years out, and they're not investigating it that heavily at that point. But they're just starting to stir the pot.
Good point. Well, that's all I've got.
All right. That about wraps it up. I want to thank my co-hosts from joining me and talking about some Expeditionary Force. We had fun talking about the 2 chapters. As always, I want everybody to go and like, subscribe, comment, send out smoke signals. Just tell us how great we are on Facebook. Whatever you want. But engage somehow, please. We like it. Joey mentioned before, we have over 300 subscribers, which is awesome. So thank you to everybody out there who has done that. Next chapters, we'll be talking about 16, maybe 17. We'll see. Check us out.
A long one. Yeah.
Well, 16 is a long, we'll see. But with that, I want to thank everybody again for listening. And as always, trust the awesomeness.
Gentlemen, so And if you want to take us out.
And Lady.
Oh, yeah, and Marianne. Sorry.
I had a great outro going before, but I was rudely interrupted.
Damn, Joey.
Hey guys, my name's Marianne.
Hey, guys.
We have 300 subscribers on YouTube, man.
Whoa. Well, why didn't we put that in the news, Joey?
I don't know. I forgot. And
Oh
we
my
also have had over 12,000 views on YouTube since we started.
Wow. It looks like a puma. That is a red versus blue reference, which was a web comic series that was created by taking Halo characters and just dubbing ridiculous conversations over them. That is a really old internet throwback. Sorry for the random thing.
That's what we're here for.
Hold on. I want to mention when she said, by the way, I'm watching Wrath of Khan. It was the husband's choice for the first thing. You spelled it C-O-N at first. And then you went back into the messages and corrected.
Somebody fix this.
I loved it. I saw it as Khan. I'm like, oh, she spelled it wrong. I went back and you'd fixed it.
Saved yourself, Marianne.
And I'm like, this is
Comic-Con!
The Wrath of Comic-Con.
The Wrath of Comic-Con. Oh man, that's good. Yeah, where are you,
so
Marianne?
I stopped the TV to see the title to pop up.
You had to wait till you started it to fix it.
That's so funny.
I'm like, shit, this is wrong.
Oh.
I feel like after editing this episode, it's going to be 4 minutes long
I
of
know.
actual meaningful commentary.
I thought we talked longer than 17 minutes, Joey. Why is it just you talking,
No.
Joey? Podcasting from the road.
Things you can do in this era.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out because there's exactly one light in this room. So I'm trying to figure out how to position myself, and I might need to turn that way.
Yeah.
Hotel?
He's meeting his mistress.
Holy shit. That's not cool, dude.
Well, my joke was going to be like from one god to another, but I guess Joey.
You can't bring the prostitutes home, Andy. Sorry, Steve.
I'm not the one in a hotel room right now.
Aren't you glad you have headphones on?
The outtakes write themselves.
We've been recording this for over 6 months now,
Over?
and my
Yeah.
name is still wrong on the document.
Is it?
What? Where?
Oh.
And in caps, like it's not little letters, it's caps. There's two
That's me. I spelled it wrong.
This is still with 2 N's. Like seriously,
That was me. Blame me. I'm sorry. Nobody sees it, Marianne.
That's how
okay?
Americans spell it, Marianne.
No, I'm Brazilian. There's no American spelling here.